Well, my next guest of the program this afternoon is singer, songwriter and actor. He's winner of the Australian Idol of 2008. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. He's returning to the Palais Theatre here in Melbourne in July to reprise his role as his part in Rolling Thunder Vietnam. I'm talking, of course, about Wes Carr. Wes is on the line to join us. Wes, a very good afternoon to you. How are you, pal?
Hey, man. How are you? Nice to be with you.
Yeah, doing very, very well down this neck of the woods. We found you in Queensland, I believe, today, so let's hope the weather is kind to you up there.
Be right.
Wes, reading through your bio, pal, and we'll talk about Rolling Thunder Vietnam in a moment, but you've had a huge, huge career in such a short space of time. I mean, so you're only a young chap. What are you, 33 or something? And
Yep.
Yeah, you're a young boy. And you've done so many things. Even before you auditioned for Australian Idol, you'd released your first album.
Yes, I was in a band with one of the guys from Silverchair, Ben Gillies, so we were in a band called Tamburlaine. That was about 10 years ago now, a bit over 10 years ago. And before that, I was doing lots of touring. I moved from Adelaide to Sydney to start playing gigs when I was 13 years old. So I was pretty young when I started playing, and I worked with many people: Don Walker from Chisel, and Cole Chisel, and Andrew Farris from INXS, and that was all before I went on Australian Idol and sort of became the household name or whatever. And I guess the reason why I did all of that was because I felt like I'd sort of done my time and my apprenticeship and all that, and I just needed to then the kind of release songs and go on and it's a good opportunity to do so. And I encourage anyone who is who has done the kind of the time in and
You've got a little one yourself, haven't you?
I do. I've got a 3-year-old boy now, and he's going on. We call him the three-nager. He's going on 21.
That's that too.
Yeah. But he's magic, and he's certainly drawn to the music side of things as well, as you probably could see on my Instagram and whatever. When I play a gig, he will rush the stage.
Yeah.
And there's no stopping him. But it's I've got my work cut out for me there. Absolutely, it's going to be an interesting ride.
Let me take you back a few years, because you were one of those sort of kids who, you went to school, but you'd rather swap your school time, I believe, for going around to the bars and seeing people perform and meeting other musos and so on. That must have been an experience in itself.
Oh yeah, I was very hungry for, I guess, just to better myself at my craft. Really, I was like. I guess at 15, you sort of dreamed, you're going to be famous and all that kind of stuff, and that's a real lure. But for me, it was basically I was more interested in writing the perfect song. Writing the songs that that sort of my heroes would write, like John Lennon or Neil Young or somebody. And for me, that was kind of my real sort of dream, was to sort of just really kind of write songs of that caliber, and I've just been doing it ever since, really. Just been writing and writing and writing. I get up really early and I start writing songs, and it's like a muscle. Like, you've got to kind of keep going and keep doing it. And I just started really early, and I was just playing in the Cross when I was 15 years old, and I guess I kind of grew up really quickly as well through my music and through my passion. And I've just sort of dedicated my whole life really to sort of better my craft and just keep kind of challenging myself. And I think that's really, for me, that's really what I've been doing. And I'm really, there has been some really dark times and really kind of disillusionment and what am I doing with my life? And there has been some really amazing times as well, very highs. It's really high and low. The music industry is all about highs and lows.
It's very emotional. Yes, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. See, music is full of emotion, and of course you express that through words and your performance and so on. And you're a monster.
Exactly.
You're a multi-instrumentalist, so you know how that all works.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a magical kind of life, really. When I look back, I sort of think, wow, when I was a kid, I grew up in Elizabeth and Adelaide. And that was Cold Chisel territory. Like, if you didn't know who Cold Chisel was,
my word,
you were either beaten up or just forgotten about, because that was... And I just recently wrote their last single, Lost, and with Don Walker. Don and I wrote that song a few years ago, and they've just recently released it. And then I got asked to go and sing on stage with Barnsey at their last Sydney show at the Entertainment Centre.
Yeah, I noticed
one
that.
of their last shows.
Yeah.
And for me, it's kind of like, it's so weird to sort of think, oh wow, one day I might, if somebody told me at 13 that I was going to sing a duet with Barnsey on a song I wrote at one of their last shows ever, it's a bit surreal, So there's those highs, and then there's the lows where you're sitting around looking at your phone thinking, does anyone remember me? So it's amazing life, I guess.
I want to take you back to something you told me about 2 or 3 minutes ago. You said about playing at the Cross at the age of 15 and so on. I want to go back into your personal life a fraction here, because I think it has a bearing on what you're saying to me. From my reading, your parents split and your father moved to Sydney. You decided as a youngster that you were going to move to Sydney to be with your father, and you did that. Now, was it at that time then that you needed that escapism? You went out and busked and you play with musos to get, that escape into you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, that's how I really dealt with, I guess the turmoil and the problems at home. Like I grew up in a situation where I guess mum and dad were like, they've got married young, and we lived in the country, and that old chestnut. And they sort of grew apart, and I was a kid and I had no idea. And as soon as I sort of turned 12, they kind of went their separate ways, and it was a bit of a strange kind of, I guess, another kind of surreal moment where I turned inward, and that's how I started writing more so, and that's how I started dealing with.
And of course,
all
expressing
the teenage things.
That's right, and expressing the emotions. Can I bring you up to 2013, because we've got an album there, Road Trip Confessions. Now, I took a listen yesterday to the track called Puppet Strings. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's about your father, isn't it?
It's about, I guess, Dad always used to say to me, you've got two options. You can either, it was something along the lines, I'm not going to quote it, but it's something along the lines of, you can either sell your time away, or you can go off and live from your passion, Yes. And he was an artist, and he had to give his art away at a young age and go off and work at the highways department and eventually build his way up into local government and things. But, and so I guess it was on my mind when I was writing that song. It was like, I didn't want to be the monkey on the stage. I wanted to sort of tell stories and I guess sort of express more than kind of the kind of cookie cutter pop songs and things that I felt like I was being perceived as. And I was sort of wrestling with my own ego, I guess, So that song was sort of just, I guess my internal thoughts on, trying to express something more, and yelling over a crowd of people saying, feeling like I was sort of being the dance monkey dance character, and I guess that was where I was at the time. But now I look back and I think, well, life is pretty great. Like, what are you talking about? But it's an expression. It's a song. It's like a diary entry. Every song's a diary entry,
Yes.
and for me, that's sort of, that's how I like to think of songs. They're something on your mind at the time. And
Wes, I found that
my son.
I found that a very emotional song, and the way you express yourself, the interpretation you have of your own words, they're absolutely beautiful. If people haven't heard it, they need to. Puppet Strings, because I think it summarises a lot of your life, and it encapsulates that into.
Thank you. Yeah, it's on
song.
An album called Buffalo Tales Road Trip Confessions, which I released in.
It's absolutely beautiful.
I have a way about doing that. I wear my heart on my sleeve too much, I think, sometimes.
Well, mate, it comes through. It really does, and that's the beauty of music. And when you're a good writer like you are, that's what happens. You're able to put your emotions down, and of course, your emotions are someone else's that they won't talk about.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
So you've taken us on this magical journey as such, and you've really opened up a crevice there, and we're able to identify with you, which was just so nice. Let me bring you back to Rolling Thunder Vietnam, because you toured this 2 years ago. You're coming back to Melbourne in July, which is rather exciting.
Absolutely.
How did this all come about? Tell me.
Well, this is completely different for me. I mean, I grew up. When I was a kid in Adelaide, I started. I was in the Johnny Young Talent School when I was really young, when I was 8, and I would do like singing and dancing and acting and all that all that jazz, and it was it came up and I was really intrigued and I actually ended up, the way it came about was I did a workshop for the Little River Band, actually, for Graham Goebel, and I played Shorrock. I played Glenn Shorrock in this workshop. And it was just this sort of 2-week workshop thing that was, it sort of went away or whatever. But I really enjoyed the acting side and the whole camaraderie on stage and the live element and everything. And it really sort of felt like it extended my craft bigger. And then Rolling Thunder came around and I thought, this is amazing. Like, it's a beautiful script. It's incredible songs. Get to work with Chongi and David Berthold, who's one of the best directors in the country. And then as it rolled on, as we started touring the show, I realised it was something more. It was like a healing for these poor vets that felt like they hadn't been recognised in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I started learning a lot more about the vets and they had. I thought I knew a lot about the '60s through the music side of things because I studied it since I was 12. But the Australian story has never been really told and they had an option to go. They had two options: go to jail for 2 years or go to war. That was basically
That's
it.
right. That's true. That's true.
And not being my generation, I had no idea about that, and I was quite shocked actually that I couldn't believe that it went on in our country. So that's what we sort of addressed really, and we toured around the country. It was sold out everywhere. We had vets standing there with their medals, crying from the first song. And I just thought it's just incredible. It was actually sometimes when we were doing our dialogue, there's a spot where we talk about being in Vietnam, and they actually they got up. Some people started heckling, and it felt like, I think to them it felt like it was bringing back a lot of bad memories for them. But it was this cathartic kind of experience where. It felt like they were really, we were telling their story and they were giving it back to us, from the audience. And it was this sort of subliminal communication on stage sometimes, and it felt incredible to be up there and to tell their story in front of them. It was like I've never sort of experienced it before. So that's the reason why I really want to do this again, because it's something that you've never seen before. It's not really a musical. It's like this sort of stage rock kind of drama, I guess.
You're taking us on a journey, aren't you?
Yeah, but it has a whole different element, and I think it's powered from the music. We've got John Farnham's band on stage, who's they're the best musos in the country, and they just like power when they play. But there's also this real element to it, which is our Australian story going through the Vietnam War. And it's pretty magical and pretty horrific at the same time.
So it's acted out, of course. I didn't see it the first time round, but I will see it this time. So it's acted out, but then brought together by all of these songs that was so important to the Vietnam vets at that stage. Yes,
they're all monologues. So we tell our story through series of letters. So,
some of the songs there that defined our generation, and I think you used in the show, Born to be Wild, Killing Me Softly with his song.
That's it.
Bridge Over Troubled Water. You can see how these would bring things together there in a very, very clever and emotional way, because it is an emotional story, and as you said before, the audience gets very, very emotional through this.
So it's like real life stuff told in a concert drama rock show kind of way, and it's pretty mind-blowing, really, and the script is incredible, and Bryce Hallett wrote the script, and it's just all the elements go together so incredibly well, and
well, Wes, we're looking forward to seeing it in Melbourne here again at the Palais. It's a great venue, the Palais, so you'll be here in July. It's called Rolling Thunder Vietnam, and of course it coincides with the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan. Yeah,
it does. So that's another reason why I think it's very important.
Mate, I do wish you well. Thank you very, very much for your 20 minutes. And look, I'm going to say it to you, as we say to all actors, break a leg, and let's hope it goes so well for you, pal.
Thanks.
Now, there he is, Wes Carr, coming into Melbourne at the Palais Theatre, Rolling Thunder Vietnam. And of course you would have known and heard that man on Australian Idol back in 2008.